It's the evening of April 30th, 1869. As the townspeople of Mesilla look up toward La Cueva at the base of the Organ Mountains, there is only darkness. The signal fire that's been lit each Friday since the Hermit's return from Sierra de Cepello, a small nearby mountain range in Mexico, is noticeably absent tonight. The signal fire, a precautionary measure used by the Hermit countless times in the past, is explained with a bit more urgency to the townspeople of Mesilla. A recent attempt on his life at Sierra de Cepello still weighs on his mind. When learning that the Hermit did not build a fire, Antonio Garcia, the father-in-law of Colonel Albert J. Fountain and a good friend of the Hermit, knows that something is not right. The next day, Saturday, May 1st, Garcia rode up to La Cueva to check on him. Garcia searches and discovers the Hermit's bed and a few possessions, but can't find any sign of him, leading Garcia to believe that the Hermit's worst fears may have been realized. On his way back to the town to alert the sheriff of Dona Ana County of the missing Hermit, Garcia encounters two sheep herders that are headed up into the mountains. He offers them $5 if they can locate the Hermit's body. On Sunday, May 2nd, the sheep herders return to Mesilla and inform Garcia that indeed the Hermit is dead and the location of his body discovered. Garcia and the sheriff party follow the sheep herder to the place where the Hermit drew his last breath. The Hermit is found in his undergarments, apparently confronted in his bed, taken alive to the location where his body is found. He kneels down, a pious man to the end, holding a crucifix in hand as he is bludgeoned on the back of the head and both of his lungs pierced with a sword or lance. The body is intact, unmolested by coyotes, mountain lions, or other scavengers. The only other infliction is self-imposed. Metal spikes bite into the Hermit's flesh from a cilice he wears around his waist, a testament to his devotion and discipline. The body is taken back to the sheriff's house, examined, and the death of the Hermit is officially ruled a homicide by the coroner's jury. As the evening sun sets, the Hermit's body is taken to the village church of San Albino, where Father Jose de Jesus Cabeza de Vaca presides over a funeral mass which is attended by most of the town. Father Baca then leads a procession of mourners with the Hermit's body to the Mesilla cemetery and performs the burial service, laying to rest the wonder of the century. Father Baca himself is no stranger to healers, explorers, and the associated perils. He is a lineal descendant of Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca, one of four surviving members of the ill-fated 1527 Narvaez expedition. The expedition originally set sail from Spain to explore the New World with over 600 souls. For 4 years until his escape, Cabeza de Vaca was enslaved by nomadic Indian tribes, traded amongst them, being kept alive for his perceived value as a healer. Perhaps the final act of providence fittingly bestowed upon the Hermit is having Father Baca perform the ritual for his final journey. Colonel Fountain quarried a slab of stone near La Cueva, which lay flat over the grave, chiseled with the Hermit's particulars, since worn away. All that seemingly remained of the Hermit were his few possessions: a walking staff, a bell, cross, rosaries, medal, 2 books, a diary, and travel papers. The diary and travel papers are referenced in historical documents up until 1961, at which time they go missing, presumably finding their way back to Italy. However, Colonel Fountain's granddaughter preserved most of the Hermit's other possessions, which are in the Gadsden Museum in Mesilla and New Mexico State University Archives Special Collections. With the Hermit's body laid to rest, still many questions remain. Who was the Hermit? Who wanted to kill him? And why? These questions may never be completely answered, like the shadows dancing on the wall of Plato's cave from the Hermit's fire. Until one steps outside, the shadows are perceived as the sole reality. As to the who and why, enter the priest and the Indian. According to Santa Fe author and historian Ana Pacheco, greed, one of the oldest motives for murder, may have been a factor. Pacheco asserts that the Hermit had let his intentions be known to Father Baca that he was moving on to help the Indians in Mexico, whereby Father Baca provided him $450 in gold to aid him in his continued pilgrimage. It's about $10,000 in today's money. Perhaps Father Manuel Chavez of St. Genevieve's Church caught wind of the large sum bestowed upon the hermit by Father Baca. There wasn't any gold recovered from the hermit's possessions. It was common knowledge of long-time Las Cruces residents and part of the oral tradition that El Indio Chacon perpetrated the heinous act. Las Cruces historian and writer Daniel Aranda postulates that perhaps Father Chavez put Chacon up to the deed. On May 6, 1869, Father Chavez was indicted by the county grand jury in Mesilla for the murder of the hermit, although there is no mention of any gold, but rather religious jealousy listed as the motive. Religious jealousy is something that a common theme that plagues the hermit throughout his travels. Who is the hermit? Giovanni Maria de Agostini was born in Cesano, Italy in 1801, prior to the unification. At the age of 17, Agostini had a vision of the Virgin Mary where she was pointing into the distance, which he may have interpreted as her wanting him to travel. The vision may have been the impetus for his momentous journey. Other versions of the story pointed at a failed love affair or an impetuous act that necessitated a quick departure. In either case, Agostini leaves Cesano for Rome, embarking on his momentous 49-year journey, covering an estimated 27,000 miles, or almost the circumference of the entire Earth, visiting over 17 countries, traversing both the Mississippi and Amazon rivers. The traveling hermit who took the vows of St. Anthony, through his herbal healing, sharing of knowledge, and charisma, amassed large numbers of followers wherever he went, antagonizing the local religious and political hierarchies. This ultimately led to his deportation, incarceration, confinement in an insane asylum, death threats, and possibly the fatal blow leading to his death at La Cueva. Or maybe not. The indictment against Father Chavez was dropped on May 9th, a few days after a band of 50 Apache Indians killed a soldier at nearby San Agustin Pass, roughly 12 miles from La Cueva. According to one of the foremost experts on the hermit, David G. Thomas, in his book Giovanni Maria de Agostini, Wonder of the Century, it is his opinion that this band of invading Indians is most likely the hermit's murderer, an assertion I agree with. When we step out of the shadows of La Cueva, and the probabilities dancing in the shadows as to who killed the hermit diminish in importance, meaningless relative to the only certainty that the hermit is dead, leaving behind a legacy 150 years after he walked, literally, around the earth. In Argentina, up to 15,000 people celebrate, 10,000 in Brazil, as well as thousands of others, including in New Mexico, still inspired from the wake of his travels. Annual events and festivals, all initiated by Giovanni Maria de Agostini, the hermit and the traveler.